Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where I have one more installment of the Mount Rushmore of knives video for you, and today it's going to be the Mount Rushmore of budget knives. After I posted my original Mount Rushmore video, a lot of you guys said, hey, that was awesome, it was all great knives, but I couldn't afford any of those knives. Those are all kind of out of my price range, so fear not, I put this together for you. I say budget knives. Granted, I know some people don't consider knives right under $100 to be budget knives, and I can somewhat agree with you there. But I had to go up to the $100 range to find some knives that would I think be attractive, make for good content, and also I had to find one with a stinking patent, and that one wasn't super easy when it comes to budget knives. They're usually pretty much just liner locks or something along those lines. So I had to find something. I did, which is another reason why I probably won't be making this. I'm not making this a tag video because this was kind of hard for me to put together. I had some other options, but I also only wanted to have one of each manufacturer. It would be pretty easy to have nothing but CJRBs and Civivis in this, but I only have, well, you'll find out as we go. But let's go. Before we go, if you guys are tuning in today, thank you. If you like what you see, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, follow along, and I'll continue to keep bringing you guys some good content. Now, let's take a look at this Mount Rushmore of knives. I'm going to be a little more brief on the actual story behind each president. I'll hit the main topic and speak briefly about it, but if you want to hear the full story about each president, go back to my original video, Mount Rushmore of folding knives, and I describe all those there. Now let's get into it. For George Washington, we have our toughest knife. George Washington was a very tough man to kill. He had many diseases throughout his life. He was in many wars. He had been shot at numerous times. Basically, the guy should have died at like 30, and somehow he lived to be a lot older than that. So that is the story of George Washington. Very tough man to kill. So we are going to talk about our toughest knife under $100. And for me, I was surprised about this one myself. For me, it's my steel will Avior. I could have went a few ways here. There's also another knife you're going to see in this that could also very well be in this position, but this knife kind of surprises me and impresses me a little more with its durability. It has really thick G10. It seems like, you know, the liner lock and the steel liners, to me, are maybe just a hair thicker, but more than anything, it's just the feel in hand. It just feels like a brick. Not as heavy as a brick, but just feels so sturdy. I mean, you can't, a lot of budget knives, you can push the liners in, and I'm pushing stinking pretty darn hard if you look at the whiteness on my fingers here, and this is not budging. Very, very sturdy handles. Just overall, very solid construction, and it just feels solid. Feels very, very durable, and especially with the D2 blade. D2 is a very tough steel, so I thought it was very fitting to pick a knife with D2 steel, and I did just that with the steel will Avior as my toughest knife. Now, let's take a look at my sweetest knife, and that is due to Thomas Jefferson wildly popularizing ice cream in the United States. He spent some time in France as a diplomat, and it's believed that that was where he kind of discovered ice cream for himself. He really loved it. He brought it back to the United States with a recipe that I can't remember quite off the top of my head, but it was horribly unhealthy, like most ice cream is. And he had a big part in making ice cream popular in the United States. And ice cream is sweet. That's sweet. So what is my sweetest knife? My sweetest knife under $100. Oh, and by the way, real quick, sorry about that. The steel will Avior, that is $55.99. I'm going to list the prices of all these too, so you know where they're coming in at. $55.99 for the steel will Avior. Now, my sweetest knife has to be my Civivi McKenna, the premium version from Civivi, and this is still under $100, coming in at $79.25. If that's too much, they have the regular G10 model for $68. But this knife is super sweet with 154 cm steel, that oh so awesome Elijah Isham Maker's Mark. and very nice, kind of like pre-patinaed brass scales with some milling on it. I love front flippers, I love brass, and I love some good 154 cm, and you have that with this knife. It is just so fun, so smooth, fits well in hand, a great small, more non-threatening carry. Just a very, very nice knife, and I love Civivi coming out with these premium models. I just wish they would do something to calm down that darn sea they have there. You know, like acid or stonewash it like you did this. I know they didn't, they probably have like 3 million of these things sitting around, so they're probably never going to do that because it would just cost too much money and too much time to do that for something they already have readily available. But I wish they would do something to calm that down. It'd be a lot better if it was just all black and a blacked out Civivi logo, anything. That's really the only thing I don't like about this knife. Really, really love this knife. For my budget knives, it's definitely my sweetest knife. I like it a whole lot. And next, Theodore Roosevelt. If you didn't know, Theodore Roosevelt was the first president to travel outside of the United States while holding his seat as president. And that had something to do with a project at the Panama Canal, and he wanted to go visit that, so he did, and that's what made him the first president to travel outside of the United States. And for that, I'm going to be picking my favorite import knife. Granted, favorite, this doesn't necessarily mean my best, just my favorite overall import knife. And I think this could also very well possibly be my best, but that would be none other than the Ferrum Forge Stinger. This is coming in at $90, and there is a lot to love about this knife, from the Nitro V steel to the nice slicey edge to the awesome, ever so loved Ferrum Forge ergos that give you that awesome, great finger choil that I always use. I love using. Very nice jimping along the spine. An absolute perfect pocket clip. I think this is my favorite pocket clip on any knife under $100 ever. This is the definition of perfect, with recessed screws, recessed clip, just enough ramp, and I mean just enough. You have super thick hem, you may have a problem there, but just an excellent pocket clip, nice and short, a perfect complement to the knife. And Ferrum Forge, and I believe we made these. I want to say we made them. Just fantastic quality, nice thin carry. They did just about everything right on this. There's really nothing that I don't like. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely fantastic. For $90, it's hard to find a better knife than this. It really is. Could you? You probably could. But you know what? For me, it's taken the spot of my best imported knife. And lastly, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is the only president to ever obtain a patent. And this is where it got kind of hard. But I did find one, and I found a really good one. And this knife could fit in a couple other spots, but I'm going to put it right here with the best knife with a patent, and that is the Cold Steel Cold 4 with the Triad lock. They call it the toughest lock in the knife world. I have had people argue that. I'm not here to argue it. I'm just relaying the message, and I can definitely vouch for the fact that if it's not the toughest, it is easily, absolutely, definitely one of the toughest. And just a very nice, safe addition to a knife. I mean, you always want your knife to have a rock-solid lock and never have to worry about it folding up on you. Whether or not it's the toughest lock in the industry, I'm not going to go into that, but it is definitely a safe lock. You never have to worry about this blade closing on your hand or breaking or failing in the field when you have a Cold Steel with a Triad lock in your hand. I believe they still have the patent. I don't know for sure, to be honest, but last I knew, it was still a patented Cold Steel lock, and so here it is. This is the Cold Steel Cold 4, coming in at $79.95 with S35 VN. You guys are going to see this again on another video coming up, because this is one of the best knives under $100 you can get. is absolutely fantastic. Cold Steel does an awesome job with their heat treating and also their edges. They have some of the sliciest, wicked sharp blades in the industry, and it's been that way for a while, and I don't ever see it changing, to be quite honest. But just overall, very nice little clip point blade. I wish they did something to have a little more grip. It's a nice slim knife or thin knife, and it carries fantastically, but I just really wish they would do something to improve the grip on these aluminum scales, which are also durable in their own right. This knife could easily have been my favorite import or toughest knife, but I really had to go with it in the patent spot for the Triad lock. So there you go, you guys. There is my Mount Rushmore of budget knives under $100. What do you think? What would you put in your budget Mount Rushmore of budget knives? What would you have in your spots? Let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope they were a little more in your wheelhouse and price range. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.